that I think you'll really enjoy hearing more about. I have today with me Henrik, CEO and co-founder of DreamStart, and Craig, Executive Director of the Mifos initiative. DreamStart and Mifos are technology providers whose missions are focused on poverty alleviation, and they've joined forces to issue a joint 100 million project commitment to bring innovative technology to member-owned savings groups. Let's start by finding out a bit more about each organization. Henrik, let me begin by asking you about DreamStart Labs. The name itself is so interesting and conveys something about the organization's mission. Can you tell us something about the name and why you chose it?
Sure, thank you very much. So I'm the CTO and Ves is the CEO, and he has a problem with his voice today, so you'll have to live with my accent instead. DreamStart Labs is founded by Silicon Valley veterans, and we want to take the innovative mindset of Silicon Valley and apply that and our experience in this space of financial inclusion. So we are going to develop a suite of mobile applications, and the mission we have is to empower people in developing countries to bootstrap themselves out of poverty, in many cases extreme poverty, through entrepreneurship. And as you pointed out, the name alludes to that. DreamStart, we are going to help people start their dreams, and Labs refers to technology. So we will develop the technology that will help people, enable people, empower people to realize their dreams.
Thank you. Same question for you, Craig. What does Mifos do? What is your mission? Any changes in Mifos' mission since they emerged out of Grameen in 2011?
Thank you. The Mifos initiative is an award-winning nonprofit open source software project that's dedicated to ending poverty one line of code at a time. We have a global community of software developers, solution partners, business leaders, and practitioners who collaborate with our Silicon Valley funded and led development team. And between our visionary leadership out of Silicon Valley and our global community, we are leaders in technology for financial inclusion. What we do is build a platform, a software platform for financial inclusion that lets innovators like DreamStart Labs build their mobile apps and their value add on top of it. And that dramatically accelerates their time to market and their ability to innovate, because they can spend 80% of their time and money focused on their idea and their target market and not on all the back-end systems that we provide.
Thank you. Mifos and DreamStart have teamed up to build a new solution for member-owned savings groups. Henrik, can you please tell us a little bit more about the aspects of the savings group the new solution aims to address?
Absolutely, thank you. The first product we are going to develop is DreamSave, and we will build that on top of Mifos, so it will be Mifos inside. The first product there will digitize savings groups. So savings groups is basically groups of women coming together, 15, 20 women, say, they pool their savings. A little bit of a time, the equivalent of, 10 cents, 50 cents, $1. They meet every week, and over time the funds accumulate. After a while they will start lending these funds out to each other. And that can be used to both overcome emergency situations in the family. It can also be used to overcome, to set up businesses that will create a sustainable income stream for the family. What we are going to provide is we are going to provide an Android app and feature phone capabilities that will digitize the savings groups. And there are two main value propositions in that. One is for the savings group itself. If you never had the chance to go to school, or you went to school like a year or two, doing the calculations and the record keeping to run a savings group and taking care of interest computations, fees, penalties if somebody is late, managing all that is difficult to do, and the app will do all of that. So the rules that the group has defined on how they want to run things will automatically be enforced, and all loans, all savings will be in compliance with their own rules. So there's value to the group. The other aspect is the nonprofits that work with the savings groups obviously would like to learn which groups work and which ones don't. To do that, you need to collect the data, and now you have the foundation from which you can do data analytics. From analytics, you can learn what works and what doesn't, and so basically correlate the, say, demographics and all kinds of other input parameters for a group with their performance. And that means that groups that are yet to be formed, groups to be formed in the future, you can tell them how to do it in a manner such that they greatly increase their chances of being successful.
Okay. So Henrik, how long do you think the groups will exist? In countries like India, growth in the number of saving groups is plateauing. Aspirations of members are growing instead. They are now looking forward to getting connected with banks directly and receiving individual loans. In that context, your technology may become a little bit redundant.
That's a great question and a fair question and a tough one. And as you know, the saying goes, it's difficult to make predictions, especially about the future. So maybe savings groups are not going to be around forever. Maybe it's a transitional phase. It may also vary a lot with which country, which regions we are talking about. But here's how I see it. The savings group is essentially an on-ramp to financial inclusion. It is being used by the poor and the poorest of the poor. Once they take this on-ramp, they are now enabled with technology. They are using platforms from which we can do many other things. So as the world changes and evolves and new things happen, mobile money and other things, links to commercial banks, then the applications and the tools we provide will obviously evolve accordingly. And so it's really, in my mind, first of all, a matter of getting people included at all, the poorest of the poor. And once you have them there, once we have the technology platform, then it's going to evolve as things change. And then it's possible that one day, it's likely that one day the savings group we know today doesn't exist anymore. Now it's about linkage banking, and then that is what we are doing at the time, gradually.
That's an absolutely fascinating explanation. Craig, historically, Mifos has been more focused on providing technology solutions between banks and MFIs. Why the switch to member-owned savings groups for this commitment?
Sure. Well, the important word there is historically, but the world's changed and we've changed with it. In fact, we've led some of that change. When this whole movement for financial inclusion did begin with Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh, what he invented was microcredit, the issuing of small loans to women to increase their income. And that had a tremendous effect on poverty alleviation. But what we've learned is as they gain income, it's essential to preserve those income gains with savings accounts, because income can fluctuate and sudden unexpected needs can arise. And if you don't have effective savings to safeguard those income streams, then you're not succeeding in your mission of financial inclusion. So we haven't really switched to savings. We've all understood you have to add savings to the mix. And that's why initiatives like DreamStart Labs are so important.
Thank you, Craig. Wes, you mentioned, I'm sorry, not Wes, Henrik, I'm sorry, I'm reading off the script. You mentioned that your DreamSafe solution puts mobile technology directly into the hands of the member-owned savings groups. That seems like a very different challenge than building mobile apps for sophisticated consumers in Silicon Valley, where they've grown up and are very integrated in the technology world. Do you think the rural poor in developing countries are ready for something like DreamSafe?
That is an excellent question. Basically the answer is resounding yes, they are ready. This is not like my personal opinion, or this is something that I actually know. And as I get older, I'm more and more careful with saying that I know anything. I have two teenage daughters, and I understand them less every day. But the bottom line is, yes, this I do know. The groups are ready. I know this for two reasons. First of all, talking to a bunch of potential pilot partners for this project, NGOs on the ground. And secondly, before we founded DreamStart Labs, we actually operated an MFI on the ground in Mali and Burkina Faso. We learned there in the toughest possible environments that people are eager to get the technology. And once we started giving it to them, they absolutely embraced it, and what we did at that time took off. So I know they are ready. Now, as you point out, developing technology in Silicon Valley and then say in Burkina Faso or many other countries are not exactly the same thing. I completely agree. So what we are going to do is we team up with a pilot partner, a non-profit that has savings groups on the ground. Then we do not just sit down, write a project, hand it over, a product and hand it over and say, here you go and good luck and goodbye. Instead, we are going to develop it in close cooperation with them. So we will do rapid prototyping, we give them something, they tell us why it doesn't work, we fix that, we give them a new version, and on we go until, in the end, by design, we will therefore have a product that actually works in the field.
Thank you. That's a very, very good way of developing a product. Craig, how do you think this technology solution will advance the cause of poverty alleviation?
Well, we all know financial inclusion works for those who have access to it. That's why we're here and that's why we do what we do. But there's still 2 billion people in the world excluded from the financial system. In fact, here at the Microcredit Summit in the opening session yesterday, Muhammad Yunus announced that his goal for eliminating poverty was no longer 2020, but now 2030. And the simple fact of the matter is, if we're going to get to these remaining 2 billion people in any meaningful time, we have to change the way we do things. And the problem we have is access is too hard, costs are too high, and innovation is too slow with existing systems. And the key to changing that is the mobile phone. When financial services are digital and everyone has a phone, every phone is a bank. Or another way to say it is every phone is an account. And everyone is accessible at low cost. And every conceivable needed financial service is simply an app. And what DreamStart Labs is going to fundamentally do by using these innovative technologies of the mobile phone and simple to use apps is they're going to change that method so that access is faster, costs are lower, innovation is faster, and you're going to see a significant acceleration in reaching the remaining 2 billion.
You're going to change, I think, the market if you do that, and say you do. In 5 years down the road, DreamSave and Mifos solution is as famous as Garmin Bank, one of the leading members everyone talks about. What does that success look like? Will this technology benefit the poorest? And say those who belong to the bottom 20% of the population of one of the poorest countries.
You want me to take that?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, there's absolutely no question. It's been demonstrated that there's really 3 pillars to financial inclusion. One is access to microcredit so that you can start a business and take responsibility for your own income. The second is you must have a savings account so you can save that increased earnings and provide for difficult times. And the third, you can't let savings and microcredit be isolated silos of accounts. You have to have access to the main financial banking system through payment systems. And when you deploy those 3 pillars, you have a financial inclusion solution that actually lifts people out of poverty. So when you combine all of the great work that's being done in microcredit with a DreamStart Labs that has the ability to reach literally hundreds of millions of savers, and then you integrate that through the Mifos platform to the digital financial system, and we're in contact with all of the leaders who are putting down what Bill Gates calls the digital rails of transforming the payment system so that microcredit and microsavings can be part of it. You actually have the solution that will deliver the elimination of poverty.
I'm sure we're all looking forward to that future. One of the most important aspects of working towards large goals like the 100 million project is working in partnerships. DreamStart Labs and Mifos are both successful technology organizations in their own right. Craig, perhaps you can tell us why you decided to join forces and do this as a partnership. What attracted you to each other?
Well, it's very simple. First of all, we, the Mifos Initiative, we build the core software platform. We do not build those incredibly important value-added apps that deliver a solution to a particular target market. So without folks like DreamStart Labs, I like to say the Mifos software is nothing but a bucket of bits and bytes. It's nothing unless people like Henrik and Wes come along and build a viable app that delivers a service using Mifos. So that's the first reason. But the second reason is you've got to have people who are intelligent, who are great technologists, who are insightful as to the needs that are required in the marketplace, who are willing to go into Burkina Faso and go into these poor areas, and who have keen insights into the market and can build a great app. That's Henrik and Wes and DreamStart Labs.
And finally, the last question. Henrik, can you let us know, talk to any organizations, sort of prep talk you can say, and tell them if they were going to make a commitment like yours to anyone, what would you say, what some advising tips?
Sure, thank you. I could really summarize that in 3 words by just stealing famous companies' tagline, just do it. We need to work together to reach the goals that Professor Yunus talks about, the 3 zeros he has talked about at this summit. There's a lot of reason to celebrate and be optimistic because poverty has gone down tremendously. However, we still have a long way to go. It's pretty obvious, self-evident that technology is a key enabler. So we got to work together to make that happen. And key is absolutely partnership, because the problem is the scale of the problem, the volume is just way beyond what any one organization can do. We need to work together. So let's put the eradication of poverty beyond other issues. Let's, in this context, culture should not divide us, worldview should not divide us, religion should not divide us. Let's work together to eradicate poverty.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate both you and Craig taking the time today to talk about your commitment, what you do, what your plans are, and I look forward to seeing what happens in the future, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. We're thrilled to be here.
Great.
Thank you very much.
We're good.
Thank you.